How is it going, YouTube? Malagant here. Thank you for joining. We're going to be talking about Wolcen a little bit since I have been playing the past 3 weeks actually. Apart from like the Diablo 4 weekends. They have recently had their latest patch, which is called Endgame, and it's a pretty big patch to be honest with you. It's a massive one because not only it offers an extra act at the very end, it kind of finalizes the story, but on top of that, it's bringing you an infinite loop or like a progression to not only the character that you're playing but also the account, which is pretty interesting in my point of view because it kind of unlocks new sort of possibilities when it comes to like builds and creating new characters, and also it kind of lets you change your account in a way. But we're going to be talking about all of this, and I'll try to like basically tell you what is going on in Wolcen, and you'll get to decide if it's worth your time. Again, especially if you're bought it during the launch, and like, you know, Wolcen had some sort of like a very shaky launches, you know, so we don't really need to like talk about that because it had a lot of problems, and this is all well known in ARPG communities. But is it better now? Thank you very much for joining. Leave a like to the video and subscribe, please. So Wolcen is at a better state right now. You know, is that surprising? Because it cannot probably be worse. But that being said, the game should have launched like this. Now, there are still some problems here and there. Definitely, I've encountered the past 3 weeks, I've encountered some stuff. Nothing game breaking. But, you know, here and there, perhaps like the server that I was playing on crashed back to the login screen. Or maybe a sound glitch here and there. Maybe some pathing problems with my like Blade Storm, Whirlwind. And, apart from that, you know, nothing all too big, I want to say. Like, nothing game breaking, nothing that was like crazy frustrating, or like, you know, something that I would say, I don't know, maybe bullshit, you know, some sort of like an interaction. You know, no such bug I have encountered, so this is very good for the game, obviously. So it has definitely improved in that sense. Apart from that, the game's state right now, right off the bat, this has nothing to do with this patch, but right off the bat, I was able to, like, you know, the last time I played for seriously also was when it launched, and afterwards when I took a break, now I'm coming back to it. From the get-go, I was able to understand that like they have worked on their interface a lot. You can find a lot of information about like what your character is offering, what sorts of interactions the skills is having, what sort of DPS is having, and on top of that, how it is improving with these, you know, points that you're spending, with the attributes that you're spending. What is the damage number now when I wear this weapon, or when I swap to this weapon? What is the new damage number? You know, what kind of like ailments? What are the chances? There's so many information that are being given to you, and they're very clear to understand. That is very welcome in a game like this. Definitely, they have been improving on that. And from what I can tell you, on top of all this, without derailing too much further, is that like they have definitely worked on their passive tree, on this Gate of Fate, and try to make it so that like every single node over here is kind of working. Perhaps not with everything in the game, yes, but it is at least, you know, trying to offer like what it says, you know, unlike how it was during the launch. So what did the end game bring? The patch, right? So it brings Act 4, which is like, you know, the last act of Wolcen. It was like to be continued the last time that we played, and now it continues. It is some sort of, you know, without spoiling much, it is some sort of like a stepping stone into the late game. So it's kind of like brings you to the end game. So it's not like Act 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like a little bit like the end game, but not so much either, because it's, as I said, it's kind of like a bridge in between. So that's all I'm going to be saying if you're going to be playing it. The endgame patch is actually bringing some, you know, enemy called Ahriman or something, and you can see this enemy over here. I need to like progress. Just give me 1 sec. You can see this enemy over here and his progression on the top layer of your screen in the end game, right over here. So when you make it to the end game over here, on the top side of your screen, this is like the, you know, the boss kind of building up. While you're doing other missions in the end game, you know, he builds up, and then when this bar reaches the maximum, you basically get to fight him again, and then he will reset, and then, you know, starts building up again. So this is like another side loop that is going on right now within the game that is going to be giving you another challenge, another like reward. He, as far as I can tell, he doesn't necessarily have like specific rewards to him, but it's kind of like a cool side boss challenge that is going on, every 10 to 15 or maybe 20 missions that you are doing on the side. Apart from that, he also has the option to like have some sort of like a lieutenant's attack every now and then that is going to be empowering him, or maybe just giving you a little bit side rewards too. So how did the game change apart from the new acts and this end game plus the Ahriman mode, the boss that is being on the side? Like, what else is there in the end game patch? Apart from like some of the balance things, what I can tell you is that like I have played a Bladestorm character, a Whirlwind character first. I made it to a point, and then I started struggling. It was getting a little bit too difficult for me, and from the stream I have been suggested that like Summoner was pretty strong, so I wanted to check out the Summoner guy as well. I started playing the Summoner from level 1, and I did manage to build up almost all the way to the end. What I mean by that is that when you look at the difficulty of this game, how it begins, is that I don't really know why I cannot change this right now. Unfortunately, this is bugged out, I think. Give me one sec. I am going to actually leave this section in the video so that like it stays there. I think it's good fun. So, how the end game works in this game is that like you make it to the end game. Let's say you're like level 50, 55 something, and the monsters are like something like 60, let's say, and you're capable of selecting this monster level. So every time like you successfully finish a mission, the game gives you these skulls, which is like upgrading the monster level as well. There's something really weird here, so let me open like a parenthesis here and like have some sort of like a, I don't know, personal banter or like whine about it a little bit. It's the fact that like your character in this game is scaling against the enemy level. Okay, so in town you're sitting here, you're gonna mouse over spell casting speed, it will say 44%, and then you will be like, okay, this is great, my character has 44% casting speed, that is pretty high, that's fine. But then you will jump into the mission and the monster level is going to be 30 or like 40 levels higher than you. That's only the beginning, by the way. Later on it's like 150 levels higher than you. Your character doesn't have cast speed anymore. Your character doesn't have crit anymore. Your character doesn't have dodge chance, doesn't have resistances. You know what I'm trying to say? Heavy diminishing returns when it comes to your character versus the higher level monsters. So like the character that you actually like built with like the crit rate, crit damage, etc., like heavily nerfed versus this big monster level, which I really dislike this design. But in endgame, I am not 100% sure about what I'm about to say right now, so like take that as you will. But I think how it works is that in the end game you're finally catching up and you're making up for this, and I'll go into like how that is possible as well. So anyways, back to what I was saying earlier, like how the end game works in this game is that like, as you can see, when you start from adept, you're over here. You probably finish the acts and stuff around like this level, around like level 52, so I'm assuming like you start from veteran-ish. And then as you gain skulls, you will be able to like increase the difficulty, then unlock the next difficulty. And as you're playing this, your character is, getting stronger because you're leveling up as well, you're finding new items, etc. This was already like this, right, before. And while this is juggling and you're, grinding over here, there's the mission table and like the production, the town progress table, whatever you want to call this thing over here. You get to progress your town. This was already here. So what's happened in this end game patch, right? So what you're capable of doing in the end game patch is that like you can continue all the way to Sovereign. And if I'm not mistaken, this was already there, but Infinity is the new thing now. So what Infinity brings to the table is that like now you can get to spend your skulls. You're kind of like wagering, you're kind of like betting your skulls, the skulls that you're gaining from missions into here, into the Infinity. And the more you spend, the more, well, obviously assuming that you're going to be successfully completing the mission, the more the enemies are getting stronger, and the more rewards you're going to be taking. Not only magic find, more loot, but also, very interesting part, attributes and passive spawn. Now, I don't necessarily know exactly how many attributes, but a ton of attributes, and I'm not gonna lie. So, in the Infinity mode, the levels of the monsters, they stop scaling, okay? So they are, the maximum level of a monster in this game is 217, I think. So at that point, you start scaling with the skulls, which is going to be giving enemy damage and enemy health, okay, percentage-wise. So they're becoming just stronger with the damage, stronger with the HP. But since they're not scaling with the levels anymore, I'm assuming, finally, with the new passive points and with the new attribute points that you're getting, you'll be finally managing to catch up to that diminishing return that I was whining about earlier. Now, make no mistake, it takes a very long time and a very strong character to get to Infinity. Obviously, you will probably look into guides, including my own, when I'm going to be putting them out there. Maybe while you're watching this, you know, they're already out. I'm going to be making at the very least, a Bladestorm and a Summoner guide, for sure, build guides. So please check out the YouTube channel for that. But make no mistake, for the first character ever, it actually takes you a while to get to not only Sovereign, but also, you know, strong enough to get into the Infinity. Perhaps it's not even possible, because for my Bladestorm character, the first time I was solo self-found building it up, I couldn't make it to Infinity. With my Summoner now, I just made it in, and you can see my progression over here. It says highest spent, I think, yeah, okay. So you can barely see the half of it. It says highest spent 496. It's talking about the skulls that I have used in here. As of right now, this is something incredibly stupid. You manually need to click these things like this. So every single one of the skull that I am spending is actually a manual click. So there's no control click, there's no shift click, and it blows my mind that they have implemented it like this, because this game already has the capability of shift click or like control click spending on attributes. So why don't we have it over here as well? Because get ready to hear this, you are going to be scaling this all the way to 100,000, 200,000 skulls. I'm not even kidding. So I'm not gonna really like sit there and click 100,000 times, or, you know, plug a controller and try to like push it in for 100,000 seconds. That's not gonna happen, definitely. Maybe you will need to like download like an auto clicker or something, but this is, you know, a mistake on the developer's end, and it blows my mind that it's like this right now. It needs to be fixed, and I'm sure it's going to be fixed with like a control click to spend more. So let's talk about like how impactful this is, right? So if you actually manage to get to the end game and make your character scale and progress all the way to Sovereign, you get to the Infinity and you start betting these skulls, right? I want you to understand how impactful it is. It's very interesting. It really scales the magic find out of its mind. They loot everywhere up to a point that like you don't even want to loot anymore. Trust me. And on top of all of that, the attributes and the points that I give in, I think, correct me in the comments if I'm mistaken here, but 1 attribute point per 10 skulls and 1 passive point. Actually, it might even be like 10 attributes per 10 passive or something. It's absolutely insane. No, 10 attributes per like 10 skull or something. On the attributes, I'm a little bit cloudy. Okay, I'm not in a good grasp, but I do know that for the passive points, 50 skulls is 1 passive. So for me, for instance, this is 496. I've gotten 9 extra passive points here. The next time, if I want to gain 1 more, I'm gonna need to bet 500, and then that will be my highest. So 1 per 50, I'm going to be gaining 10, but I've already gotten the 9 from it, so I'll only get 1 if I bet 500. But remember, I'll need to be successful in my mission. If I fail, the entire bet is going to be off, and I'll be losing all my skulls. Then I'll need to rebuild it again. How do you rebuild it? I can show you. So the skulls that you bet are going to be your reward also. So if I bet 25 and I succeed, I'm going to be getting 50 back. So if I bet 500, not only I'm going to be getting my passive, the attributes, but also I'm going to be getting 1,000 back. So next time I'll be able to bet 1,000 for the mission, and assuming I'll be succeeding, I'll be getting out of nowhere 10 passive points instantly. Now, can you think about for a second, this is an account-wide progression. You're going to be opening a new character, and you're going to press P, and it's going to have hundreds of passive points available to you. Okay, the same thing can be said for the attributes. So it is actually like improving your character, not only the character, but also the account. So now you can actually make any sort of build ridiculously strong and mess around with it as if like it's some sort of like a cheated thingy. But this is, as I said again and again, this is not easy to get to, guys. Like it's a challenge, and in that sense, it's actually pretty cool. It's very unique to this game, and I haven't necessarily fully absorbed it or fully experienced it yet. Because as I said, like I'm stuck at like 500 skulls now. I need to find a way to push that a little bit further, and as I push it further, my character is going to be getting much stronger because of like new passives, new attributes. Well, I'm sure you get the point. So this is the end game that I have introduced. It's pretty interesting, but moreover the interesting, it is unique, and that is what is important. I think they got something unique going on for them. So like right off the bat, I can tell you that like after this character, even if I manage to get my character to a state where I'm kind of satisfied with the amount of skulls that I have earned, or like I'm maybe not satisfied, but maybe I'm like, okay, this character definitely cannot push further, let's try something new. I'm actually looking forward to trying something new, because it's going to be like a very unique character in the sense that like a new account doesn't necessarily do the same things that I will be able to do. So that's very unique in that sense. And I dig that, definitely. So that's going to be where I'm ending this conversation about the endgame patch that Wolcen has brought. I would like to repeat myself and say that like the game still has some problems, definitely, but the studio, it seems like, you know, they're on the right track. Slow perhaps, very slow perhaps. Well, still very commendable for them to, you know, continue patching their game, trying to improve their game, and, you know, giving us completely free content. A little bit, you know, now that I have mentioned the completely free thingy, I've actually seen like the PlayStation 5 price tag, if I'm not mistaken, is $50. I think that's a little bit too high, especially with the problems that they're having with the console launch also. It's definitely a little bit too high. But during the Steam sale, the past Steam sale, I think it was about like $10, which is, to be honest with you, a steal for a game like this right now. It's in its own state. We are going to be entering a good era, a golden era, to be honest with you, with ARPGs. We have the Lost Epoch, we have Diablo 4 coming around the corner. I'm sure Path of Exile is gonna need to like ramp things up as well as, you know, other things too. So let me know what you guys are actually like looking forward to, and if you have been like playing Wolcen the past couple of days or, you know, weeks. How did you find out the end game patch? I'm very curious. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be actually sharing, you know, at the very least, as I said, 2 build guides, which are going to be, you know, this guy, the summoner, and I'll talk about like in depth how I have managed to like progress into the late game, you know, with the passives. I'll give the build, you know, maybe in like 2 parts. 1, how I managed to get there, and then the 2, how at the end it looks with like all the strength and pluses. And then I'll also make some sort of like a whirlwind guide as well. Perhaps like other characters too. Perhaps, you know, the Dark Mage once again, definitely. Dark Mage V2, we'll see. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.